Okay, so rather than denying the pay gap exists, which is what you did at the beginning of this conversation, shouldn't you say to women, rather than being agreeable and not asking for a pay rise, go and ask for a pay rise? Make yourself disagreeable with your boss.
Oh, definitely, there's that. But I also didn't deny it existed. I denied it existed because of gender.
Okay.
See, because I'm very, very, very careful with my words.
He's trying to pin Jordan in a corner, and he's so eloquent in his speech, and he's so precise on his delivery and just punctuality in making his points in a calm, reasonable manner. This is a conversation. He's not trying to argue. He's not trying to bash or belittle this woman. He's just simply trying to relay his side of his experience with clearly a ton of different women and men in the workforce. To digest that, wow, Jordan Peterson is the man. It was so kind of humble in his approach, but he wouldn't back down. But he didn't back down in a way that he wasn't disrespectful in any of the ways he approached that. And she kept trying to like put words into his mouth and say that he said this or intended this meaning, but he really didn't. That's why he chuckled and he was like, no, I didn't say that. And then he greatly presented his point without, I don't think he upset her too much. It was a good conversation. It was a good way to process your thoughts. And there's a lot to think about and digest.
I don't know what you mean by the question. Men and women aren't the same, and they won't be the same. That doesn't mean they can't be treated fairly.
Is gender equality desirable?
If it means equality of outcome, then almost certainly it's undesirable. That's already been demonstrated in Scandinavia. Because in Scandinavia...
What do you mean by that? Equality of outcome is undesirable?
Well, men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. I've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme. And approximately the same male engineers to female engineers. And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny. But if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcome.
Right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't going to happen.
Only if they're aiming at equality of outcome.
So you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
Not only fine, it's eminently desirable for everyone, for individuals and for society.
But still women aren't going to make it, that's what you're really saying.
It depends on your measurement techniques. They're doing just fine in medicine. In fact, there are far more female physicians than there are male physicians.
He's making a point, though, because it is based on your decision of what you want to do in your career. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm getting is basically like he's saying like women will more than likely go toward like, you know, being a nurse, a RN or a LVN or, you know what I'm saying, in those type of fields, versus men, they're trying to go to, like he said, an engineer or a welder or you know what I'm saying, like you don't see, I haven't seen no woman garbage man. You know what I'm saying, rolling around picking.
Excluded, to quote your words back to you.
It does seem that way, but multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicate that it doesn't exist.
But that's just not true, is it? I mean, that 9% pay gap, that's a gap between median hourly earnings between men and women.
But there's
that exists.
Yeah, but there's multiple reasons for that. One of them is gender, but it's not the only reason. Like if you're a social scientist worth your salt, you never do a univariate analysis. Like you say, well, women in aggregate are paid less than men. Okay, well, then we break it down by age, we break it down by occupation, we break it down by interest, we break it down by personality.
But you're saying basically it doesn't matter if women aren't getting to the top, because that's what's skewing that gender pay gap, isn't it? You're saying, well, that's just a fact of life. Women aren't necessarily going to get to the top.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter either.
You're saying it's a fact
there are
of
multiple
life.
reasons for it.
Yeah, but those reasons, why should women put up with those reasons? Why should women be content
I'm not saying that they should
put
up with it. I'm saying that the claim that the wage gap between men and women is only due to sex is wrong.
You want to pause really fast? So just by quickly watching a little bit of the clip, I watched a little bit of this like here and there, but I feel like this woman, she stresses me out because she's putting words into his mouth and then claiming that he's like this terrible person or like it's
She
just
stresses me
incredible.
out more than the last one.
No,
Like,
it's
what?
like with this gender pay gap thing, I feel like she like brings up these statistics, but like they're not there. There's no reason behind why there's like such a huge gap.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, like men are getting paid more than women in this area. Okay, so how many hours are these women working?
Right.
Do they go home and like take care of their kids, and is that taking from how much money they would be making if they weren't doing that?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like he's like, oh, gender is a big thing, but
Of opportunity, that's fine.
It's not only fine, it's eminently desirable for everyone, for individuals and for society.
But still, women aren't going to make it. That's what you're really
It
saying.
depends on your measurement techniques. They're doing just fine in medicine. In fact, there are far more female physicians than there are male physicians.
oh, interesting.
There are lots of disciplines that are absolutely dominated by women. Many.
Oh, that's the end.
Wow.
So yeah, first of all, he ate this interview up like usual. Jordan Peterson is just so intelligent, and I love that he like takes his time to think about things, to speak very kindly. He doesn't seem like he's like trying to like nag her or like make her feel incompetent. But I just feel like she did not do a good job of interviewing him. It just sounds like she was upset the whole time and that she didn't really understand what he was.
People up into a state of anger and
Not at all.
divisions between men and women. You'd
Aren't you hurting people?
Any critics of you online get absolutely lambasted by your followers. You
And
gotta
by
call
me,
them off,
generally.
haven't you?
By me.
Sorry, your critics get lambasted by you. I mean,
If
isn't
they're
that
academics.
irresponsible?
Not at all. If an academic is going to come
Okay.
after me and tell me that I'm not qualified and that I don't know what I'm talking about,
So
I
you're
can
not going to say to
seriously
your
not
followers
say it.
now, quit the abuse, quit the anger.
Well, we need some substantial examples of the abuse and the anger before I could
So now
detail
she's
that
trying to do
question.
a
There's a lot
guilt
of
by
it out there.
association.
Well, let's take a more general perspective on that. So I've had 25,000 letters since June, something like that, from people who told me that I brought them back from the brink of destruction. And so I'm perfectly willing to put that up against the rather vague accusations that my followers are making the lives of people that I've targeted miserable.
Jordan Peterson, thank you.
My pleasure. Nice talking with you.
Is he lying, or is he telling the truth that he enjoyed himself?
I'm sure he did, because it was battle. And if he is an example of someone who has intelligence, conscientiousness, and disagreeableness, then he's going to enjoy the battle.
Yeah.
And-
You're right. I think he really
Yeah.
did enjoy that.
And he won. I mean, I think any fair assessment would make him come out as a winner, because she tried to paint him in with negative brushes, and he just kind of sidestepped all of them because that's not what he was saying.
Yeah. I feel bad for her, though, because isn't it true that after this happened, she was being attacked
Well,
online?
she claims that she got some
Death
threats.
threats, right?
And had to get security or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what came of that, whether that was true or not. But yeah, it's just, I think some people were saying that because she knew she lost that debate, the only possible route she had out of that interview is to be a victim, basically, in some way.
That the domain of physical conflict is sort of off limits for you.
Well,
And
you
it's
just said
rather
that I've
unfortunate.
fought to get where I've got.
Yeah, but
What does that make me?
well,
a
I
sort of
don't
proxy
imagine.
man or
I
something?
don't imagine that to some degree. I suspect you're not very agreeable.
So that's the thing. Successful women. I'm not very agreeable.
Right.
But
I've noticed that
successful-
actually in this conversation.
I can't lie. I'm not agreeable either. And sometimes you have to put your foot down and just be like, "Wait, no."
She kind of is trying to make him out to be something he's not, I think.
She's like attacking him. Like, this is actually very harsh.
Is there anything he said so far you don't agree with?
Shockingly, no. No, not at all.
Why do you think women don't know about this?
It's not promoted enough. Because I actually didn't know about this until like now.
Do you think that schools and society pushes us to hate men?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely. From young. Even like in your household, it starts from home. And then I think that's how everyone learns it.
At home?
Do you agree that you would be happy if that pay gap was eliminated completely.
It
Because
would
that's
depend-
all the radical feminists are saying.
It would depend on how it was eradicated and how the disappearance of it was measured.
She's just trying to
You're saying if
twist
it's at
it.
the cost of men, that's a problem.
Oh, there's all sorts of things that it could be at the cost of. It could even be at the cost of women's own interests. So,
Because they might not be happy if they get equal pay.
no, because it might interfere with other things that are causing the pay gap that women are choosing to do.
Like having children.
Well, or choosing careers that actually happen to be paid less, which women do a lot of.
But why shouldn't women have the right to choose not to have children or the right to choose those demanding
They
careers?
do. They can.
What do you mean? You don't have to have kids.
But you're saying that makes them unhappy, by and large.
I'm saying that no, I'm not saying that. I actually haven't said that so far. in
You're
the
saying it
program.
makes...
My personal opinion.
She keeps throwing stuff at him,
Is
saying
this
you're
the
saying it's
same-
like,
Is this the same chick that pissed me off last time?
I don't know, but she is irritating. She's
just like the other one.
He's very calm and she's being very aggressive in this conversation. It just makes me uneasy even looking at it. She's trying to pin him against himself and use his own words when he's not even saying stuff, or she'll
It's
reword.
like going in circles. That's what she's doing.
She's picking and choosing what she wants to throw back at him without actually hearing what he's got to say, just to get to her own undercover agenda.
I think there's a substantial minority of women who do that. And I think it's very bad for them. They're very unhappy. It's very bad for their partners, although the partners get the advantage of not having to take any responsibility.
But what gives you the right to say that? I mean, maybe that's how women want their relationships, those women. I mean, you're making these vast generalizations.
I'm a clinical psychologist.
Right, so you're saying you've done your research and women are unhappy dominating men.
I didn't say they were unhappy dominating men. I said it was a bad long-term solution.
Okay, you said it was
It's not
making
the
them
same
miserable.
thing. Yes, it is. And it depends on the time frame. I mean, there can be...
Do you agree with that women don't want to control their partners? Like
women don't want to?
Like in general, we want a partner that's more competent than us, and we want a leader. And like, I don't know about you, but usually the relationships I see where the woman is like all in control, like she kind of hates her husband.
I don't know. I feel like it's really like personality based. But I do feel like personally I'd want someone that's a bit more competent than me. I feel like that would just be a better dynamic. And I could feel that like for a lot of women that I know also think that would be a better dynamic.
Yeah.
And I have noticed like you said, a lot of women that are in dominant, like the dominant person in the relationship, it's not because the other person in the relationship doesn't want to make an effort.
Yeah.
Like she's dominant, like I'm gonna take care of us, I'm gonna do all this, and the guys are just freeloading.
Yeah, and I think the girls kind of resent them after some time.
I guess, because you kind of like, you're babysitting, like you said.
Yeah. But like a guy, it's not the same dynamic, because if a girl is like living off a guy, he's fine.
See, that's the thing. Like, how come we don't say like, oh, like to a woman that's staying at home, like you're freeloading? I think it's kind of like, it is a bit of a double standard, like with the masculinity we expect from men and the femininity we expect from women is not even on the same level.
Well, I think men could still, like, I think women were just really unattracted to guys that don't do shit.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think men are unattracted to women that don't, like, I don't think...
Like, women that don't have any hobbies, do you think like men like, oh, this woman, she does nothing in her free time?
I don't think guys really care. If she's
do you know
hot,
what?
like...
Do you know what? It's so true. Like, you can be so intelligent, guys, like, but you're cute, though. Like,
like, I think they look at it as, it's a bonus, right?
But like, isn't that sweet? Isn't that sweet that, like, guys aren't always, like, this woman has to have this and this and this? Because I feel like women can get a bit cynical about things like this. Like, oh, what degree does this guy have? I've got a degree. Does he have a degree? Yeah. But, like, the guy's just like, oh, this girl's cute. I like her.
She's cute and nice. That's
And we're like, okay, but, like, can he do this and this?
But it's partially it's our biology, right? We can't help that we had to be selective in order to pass on the best genes, but yeah,
Agreeable people are compassionate and polite. And agreeable people get paid less than less agreeable people for the same job. Women are more agreeable than men.
Again, a vast generalization. Some women are not more agreeable than men.
Yes, that's true, but that's right. And some women get paid more than men.
So you were saying that by and large, women...
See, please just listen, young lady. Listen! Let the man answer the question. See, you ready to...
I don't know what you mean by the question. Men and women aren't the same, and they won't be the same. That doesn't mean they can't be treated fairly.
Is gender equality desirable?
If it means equality of outcome, then almost certainly it's undesirable.
She's trying to get you to agree with her definition of gender equality. She don't really want an answer to your question. She don't want an answer to your question, Jordan. She wants you to agree with her definition of gender equality. Not to give her your own definition, not to skate around it or give her some factual, sensible definition that we all can agree with. She wants you to focus on that one term, gender equality, as it relates to women, as she understands it.
Almost certainly it's undesirable. That's already been demonstrated in Scandinavia. Because in
What
Scandinavia...
do you mean by that? Equality of outcome is undesirable.
Well, men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. I've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme. And approximately the same male engineers to female engineers. And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny, but if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcomes.
Right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't going to happen.
Only if they're aiming at equality of outcome.
So you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
Not only fine, it's eminently desirable for everyone, for individuals and for society.
But still women aren't going to make it. That's what you're really saying.
It depends on your measurement techniques. They're doing just fine in medicine. In fact, there are far more female physicians than there are male physicians. There are lots of disciplines that are absolutely dominated by women. Many, many disciplines. And they're doing great. So
let me put something else to you from the book. You say the introduction of the equal pay for equal work argument immediately complicates even salary comparison beyond practicality for one simple reason. Who decides what work is equal? It's not possible. So the simple question is, do you believe in equal pay?
Well, I made the argument there. It's like it depends on
so
who
you don't
defines
believe
it.
in equal pay?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Because a lot of people listening to you will just say, I mean, are we going back to the dark
That's
ages?
because they're actually not listening.
I'm
They're just
listening very
projecting
carefully,
what
and I'm
they think.
here.
It feels like it's kind of turned into an argument. First one did not get this heated. If you have not watched it, make sure you go and check it out. I do think it's important to carry on to this video. Anyways, yeah, a little arguey. She seems more offended in this video, honestly. Maybe it does sound offensive because she probably maybe identifies with it. I also do think that it's very important that they're differentiating the equality of outcome versus the equality of opportunity. This is, I guess, where you can clearly see their disagreement because he not only believes that the equality of opportunity does exist and that's what he wants, but it seems like she doesn't not only believe that the equality of opportunity doesn't exist, but it seems like she's striving for the equality of outcome. So they disagree on that, I guess. I think he's expressing that if you have equality of outcome, the equality of opportunity doesn't exist. It's one or the other. And the equality of outcome will kind of turn into things where you get participation trophies or people who don't deserve that spot just get it because you want to have 3 men and 3 women who have this job, even though those women weren't as qualified or even those men weren't as qualified. So it starts getting really dangerous and kind of sticky because then you start just giving things to people who don't deserve it because you want this outcome that seems equal. And
Trump a trans person's right not to be offended.
What?
Because...
What? Did she really just ask why? Hold on. Why the First Amendment trumps somebody's right to be offended? Are you serious? It's the First fucking Amendment! People are gonna be offended no matter what you say. I say that I'm a damn hip-hop head and some of my titles, people get offended from that. I say I'm a metalhead in some of my titles, people get offended from that. There's nothing you can say that people won't get offended by. If all speech that offended people was eradicated, there would be almost no speech, except for the articles. People would be like, the end. The end. In. I guess that's a preposition. I don't know. I'm not a damn grammarman. That's the dumbest question I ever heard. And it's just laced and formatted in the way of throwing gender in there that would just trigger people to make them agree with one side or the other based on how their feelings are towards gender. Stupid question, Cathy.
In order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on. And that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
That's good.
You haven't sat there and... I'm just trying to work that out. I mean...
Ha, gotcha.
You have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah, it took a while.
It did, yeah.
This man literally, dude.
You have volunteered.
He didn't even have a gotcha moment. He literally said gotcha.
Ha, gotcha.
And she agreed.
You have got me.
Oh my, dude, that is the... Oh my God, dude, that's like the climax of the argument. I could just stop here. Something just happened down there. Yeah. That is what you want. That's what everybody dreams of. Like I said, when you are in the shower thinking about what you should have said during your argument, everybody has these moments, and they are the wet dream moment of the argument. She literally just said that he had her. Oh my God.
No, that's not actually true. I got in trouble.
Oh, actually, so
interesting.
yeah, so I'm gonna explain this situation. Yeah. So he was from Canada, and there was a law passed in Canada requiring people to call trans people by their pronouns.
Okay,
and
by their chosen pronoun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's saying that law is unlawful because you're telling me what I can and cannot say.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really about the trans issue. It was about the freedom of speech issue.
Okay.
But the trans community kind of took it and tried to make him a villain. Even
hate
though
it.
like that's not but I'm just to give you a little bit of context.
Because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government, I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything.
Right.
That didn't happen.
You wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
Not
to
once it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
Why
Well,
should
that's
your...
what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on.
So
and that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
So you haven't sat there and... I'm just trying to work that out. I mean...
Ha, gotcha.
You have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah, it took a while.
It did, yeah.
It took a while. You have voluntarily come into the studio and agreed to be questioned.
Mm-hmm.
A trans person in your class has come to your class and said they want to be called
That's never happened. And I would call them she.
So you would. So you've kind of changed your tune on that.
No, I said that right from the beginning. What I said at the beginning was that I was not going to cede the linguistic territory to radical leftists, regardless of whether or not it was put in law. That's what I said. And then the people who came after me said, oh, you must be transphobic and you mistreat a student in your class. It's like, I never mistreated a student in my class. I'm not transphobic, and that isn't what I said.
Well, except you've also called trans campaigners authoritarian, haven't you? I mean, isn't that
well, only in the broader context of my claims that radical leftist ideologues are...
I think I'm transphobic.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, because I think they're delusional. I don't think just because you dress up like a girl or a guy, you can be one. I think requiring everyone to do that, like, is making them live in your delusion.
Yeah.
Like, what if I said I'm black?
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. So I think that's the one thing out of, like, the LGBTQ bubble that I've just never understood, and I've spoken to a lot of people that identify with that title and within that group as trans.
Oh, bring them on the show. Bring them on the show.
I'll bring them on the show. And you know, I had a conversation with a really close friend of mine who is gay, and he couldn't even, not that I would expect him to, but he couldn't even educate me enough for me to have any form of clarity or understanding within that sector of the LGBTQ plus community. And I think cross-dressing, like, you can cross-dress, honey. Do what you want to do.
I'd rather they did.
Well, I mean, but do you know what I mean? If that's what you're gonna
it's your
do,
body. Yeah, you can do what you want.
Do you know what I mean? If that's what you're gonna do that. I think when it comes to like a biological change and, you know, taking medication to suppress certain natural bodily things and X, Y, and Z, for me, I don't know enough. But it doesn't sit right with me. I don't get it. I don't understand how.
Well, and as a female athlete, I find it very offensive that like the Leah Thomas thing. I was very outspoken. Do you know who Leah Thomas is? Because I know how little opportunity there is in women's sports.
Yeah.
I know how hard, like, we are, like, women athletes are the hardest working group because we don't do it for the money.
Yes.
And this shit is hard, man. But there was no money at the end of this. I know such talented athletes that get contracts in Europe. And just the fact that they got a contract is huge. But it's not, they get free housing and like $1,000, $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
There's no payout at the end of it.
Yeah.
And the little opportunity that we have, you're going to give to the dudes?
I hear
like, I worked for 12 years for this, and you're just gonna and it's like, people don't understand those moments in sports mean so much to us. Like, athletes, like, we could be done with the game 10 years, we could still tell you how some game ended 10 years ago. Like, I could tell you how the last point of my high school career, that was 8 years ago, and I'll probably be able to tell you that for another 10 years.
Yeah.
And those moments mean so much, and so, like, the moments that trans people have taken from biological women, like, we can't get those back.
I agree. I think it comes down to...
And it starts with allowing delusions. That's where it starts.
But it's also whose emotions matter the most now, or matter more. Because when things like that have been, like you said, you know, by buying into it, you're buying into a delusion. But what makes your emotion more valuable than theirs, or vice versa? Because I've had plenty of conversations where I feel like certain things have been pushed down your throat because it has to be accepted, it has to be this, it has to be that. But, you know, I'm a Muslim woman, I can't be fully covered at a local swimming pool. I have to wear a bikini or a normal and have my skin out. So how do these things work? Like, why are we so selective?
Why do you have to wear a bikini?
It's policy. You can't wear like a fully, even though it's a swimsuit, it could be Nike, it could be whoever. It's policy. You can't wear it at the pool.
Oh, that's fucked up, actually.
It's crazy.
That's fucked up.
It's silly. Like, it's
so
not...
So you couldn't wear, like, a long sleeve, whatever. Because I've been to Dubai.
Yeah.
And the girls would wear these, like...
They're swimsuits. They're just long sleeve.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. They don't let you. That's so... I'm like appalled.
Honey, in France is a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Like, my aunt, she's a teacher in France. You can't work in any form of institution with your hair covered. So she'll walk, and then at the school gates, she has to remove her scarf. And like, if she's wearing like an abaya, she'll remove her, which is the one dress. She'll remove that, and she'll have to change into like trousers and a top and have her hair out and teach. And then when she's leaving, she puts her scarf back on. Like, it's stupid. It's crazy.
That's so stupid.
And then, you know, the French law will say, oh, well, we're not Islamophobic, it's just policy and it's no religious symbols, which they back up by saying in schools, you know, you can't wear like a cross with a necklace or any form of religious symbols. But you can't say that in the workplace.